I am a rivet, a small piece of iron forged in 1887. I am one of 2.5 million just like me, holding together the most famous tower in the world. From up here, 300 meters above Paris, I can see everything. The Seine River winding through the city, the Arc de Triomphe in the distance, the Sacré-Cœur on the hill, the lights of the city spreading like stars on the ground. Tonight, the wind is gentle. It always is at this hour, just before dawn. The tourists have gone home. The lights have dimmed. This is the tower's quiet time, the time when we remember. A visitor stands on the second platform below me, an early riser, or perhaps someone who could not sleep. They lean against the railing, looking out at Paris awakening. I wonder what brought them here, what question they are asking, what answer they seek. I have been here for 136 years. I have held my position through storms and sunshine, through war and peace, through criticism and celebration. I have never moved. I have never loosened. I am one small piece of something extraordinary. And if this visitor would listen, if anyone would listen, I could tell them how something built to last 20 years became eternal. How something meant to be torn down became irreplaceable. Let me tell you the story of the tower, not the tower of postcards and proposals, but the tower as it really was, as it really is. 1886, Paris. The city is preparing for the World's Fair of 1889, the Exposition Universelle, celebrating the centennial of the French Revolution. The government announces a competition, design a tower, 300 meters tall, the tallest structure in the world, the centerpiece of the fair, a monument to French engineering and progress. More than 100 proposals arrive, but one stands out. A design by Gustave Eiffel, the engineer who built bridges and viaducts across France. His design is radical, a tower of open latticework iron, nothing solid, just girders and rivets arranged with mathematical precision.
It will be like lace made of iron, light, elegant. The wind will pass through it. That is why it will stand.
But Paris does not agree. Before construction even begins, 300 artists, writers, and intellectuals sign a petition. They call the design monstrous, a metal asparagus, an insult to French taste, a disgrace to the beauty of Paris.
This tower will dominate Paris like a gigantic black factory chimney. It will crush Notre Dame, the Louvre, the Arc de Triomphe under its barbarous mass. For 20 years, we will see this hateful column spreading over the city like an ink stain.
Gustave Eiffel reads the petition. He does not back down. He writes a response published in the newspapers, defending his tower, defending the beauty of engineering.
I believe the tower will possess its own beauty. Because we are engineers, does that mean we do not care about beauty? Do not the laws of natural forces always conform to the secret laws of harmony?
And so, despite the protests, construction begins. On January 28, 1887, the first metal is placed. The tower starts to rise. I was forged in the Eiffel workshops in Levallois-Perret, just outside Paris. Heated to white-hot temperature, shaped, cooled, inspected. One of millions. The tower was not built on site. It was built in pieces, each one precisely calculated. Every beam, every girder, every rivet hole, measured to the millimeter. The pieces arrived at the Champ de Mars already numbered, ready to assemble like the world's largest puzzle. 300 workers, 2 years, 2 months, and 5 days, building upward into the sky. And I was there, in the hands of a young riveter, waiting for my moment.
See this? This is my rivet, one of thousands I will place. But each one matters. Each one holds the tower together. If I do my job right, this tower will stand for generations.
He heated me until I glowed orange. Then, quickly, before I cooled, he placed me in my hole. His partner hammered me into place, flattening my end, locking me tight. The sound echoed across Paris. Clang, 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 thousands of times a day. The work was dangerous. 300 meters above the ground, wind whipping through the open girders. But remarkably, only one worker died during construction. Safety measures were strict. Eiffel cared about his men. As the tower grew, Parisians watched. Some still hated it, but others began to wonder, to admire, to see what Eiffel saw, that mathematics could be beautiful, that function could be art. And on March 31st, 1889, the tower was complete. The tallest structure in the world. 300 meters of iron lace, held together by 2.5 million rivets like me. May 6th, 1889. The World's Fair opens. The Eiffel Tower is unveiled to the world. But the elevators are not finished. Gustave Eiffel, the dignitaries, the press, they must climb 1,700 steps to the summit. Eiffel, 57 years old, leads the way.
If we want to show the world what we have built, we must climb to the top ourselves. Come, the view will be worth it.
At the summit, Eiffel raises the French flag. Cannons fire in salute. Paris spreads below, a city transformed by this tower. From up here, for the first time in history, you can see the curvature of the earth with the naked eye. The world is amazed. Nearly 2 million people visit the tower during the fair. They climb the stairs or ride the elevators when they finally open. They look out at Paris from a height no one has ever reached before. Thomas Edison visits. He signs the guest book. Buffalo Bill brings his Wild West show to the fair and marvels at the tower. The Prince of Wales climbs to the top. Kings and commoners alike, all wanting to see this impossible thing. But the tower has a problem. It was built for the fair, only for the fair. The contract says it must be torn down after 20 years, 1889 to 1909, and then, supposedly, this tower will disappear. But Gustave Eiffel has a plan. He will make the tower useful, not just beautiful, not just impressive, but necessary. Eiffel installs a laboratory at the summit. He studies meteorology, air resistance, the behavior of structures in wind. He drops objects from the tower, timing their fall, studying gravity and air friction. But more importantly, he offers the tower for scientific experiments. Wireless telegraphy, radio. The tower's height makes it perfect for transmitting signals across long distances.
The tower can be more than a monument. It can advance science. It can serve France. If we prove its usefulness, perhaps they will let it stand.
In 1903, the tower is used for military radio transmissions. The army begins to see its strategic value. A radio antenna this tall could communicate across hundreds of kilometers. 1909 arrives, the year the tower is supposed to be demolished. But Paris hesitates. The tower has become useful, the military needs it, scientists need it, and quietly, Parisians have begun to love it. The demolition is postponed, then postponed again, and eventually forgotten. The tower that was meant to stand for 20 years becomes permanent, not because it was beautiful, though it was, but because it was useful. Purpose, I learned, is how things survive. Beauty alone is not enough. You must serve, you must matter, and the tower mattered. 1914. The Great War begins. Germany invades France, Paris is in danger, and the tower becomes a weapon. The military radio station at the tower intercepts German communications, messages sent by wireless from German command to their troops. The tower hears everything and passes it to French intelligence.
They are planning an offensive near the Marne. I have the coordinates, the time, we can stop them.
The interception of these messages helps France win the First Battle of the Marne. It saves Paris from German occupation. The tower, the monument that almost did not exist, helps save France. During the war, the tower also communicates with French pilots, coordinates attacks, warns of enemy movements. It is no longer just a symbol, it is infrastructure, it is defense. And when the war ends in 1918, no one speaks of tearing down the tower. It has proven itself. It has earned its place. The temporary structure has become permanent. I felt proud, in the way a rivet can feel proud. I held together something that held together a nation. The 1920s and 30s. Paris is the cultural capital of the world. Artists, writers, musicians, they all come here, and many of them come to the tower. Marc Chagall paints it. Robert Delaunay paints it over and over, from every angle, obsessed with its geometry and color. The tower appears in films, in photographs, in poems. It becomes a symbol not just of Paris, but of modernity itself. The tower changes with the times. In 1925, André Citroën turns it into the world's largest advertisement. Lights spelling Citroën down the side, visible across Paris. Garish, perhaps, but unforgettable. People begin proposing marriage at the tower. It becomes associated with romance, with love, with Paris as the city of light and passion. How strange that this industrial structure, this assembly of iron and rivets, becomes a symbol of human emotion. But I understand it. From up here, Paris is beautiful. From up here, everything feels possible. People come to the tower and see their lives from a new perspective. That changes you. And then in 1940, everything changes again. War returns, and this time, Paris falls. June 14th, 1940. German troops enter Paris. The city surrenders without a fight to save it from destruction. The Nazis occupy Paris, and they want to climb the tower, but the French cut the elevator cables. Sabotage disguised as mechanical failure. If the Nazis want to reach the top, they must climb 1,700 steps. Adolf Hitler visits Paris. He stands at the base of the tower. His officers urge him to climb, to be photographed at the summit. But Hitler refuses. The climb is too much. He leaves, having seen the tower only from below. Later people say, Hitler conquered Paris, but he never conquered the Eiffel Tower. A small victory, but a symbolic one. During the occupation, the tower goes dark, no lights. The elevators remain broken. French engineers ensure that repairs are endlessly delayed. The Germans install radio equipment, but French resistance fighters sabotage it when they can.
They may occupy our city, but they do not own our tower. Every small act of resistance matters, even if it is just delaying an elevator repair.
And the tower waits, silent, dark, enduring, holding its position as it always has. August 25th, 1944. Paris is liberated. Allied forces enter the city, the Germans retreat, and the French flag rises again at the summit of the tower. French firemen climb the 1,700 steps, carrying the tricolour. They raise it at the top. The crowd below cheers. People weep. The tower, dark for 4 years, begins to glow again. The elevators are repaired. The lights return. The tower, which stood silent and dim through the occupation, becomes itself again, a symbol of freedom restored. General de Gaulle comes to the tower. He looks up at it and says something I will never forget. He says the tower is France, not just a symbol of France, but France itself, its strength, its beauty, its refusal to fall. And I understood then what we had become. We were not just iron and rivets anymore. We were meaning, we were memory, we were hope. The decades pass. The tower becomes the most visited paid monument in the world. 7 million visitors a year. People from every country, every language, every culture, all coming to see this tower. They take photographs, millions of photographs. More pictures of the Eiffel Tower exist than of any other structure on Earth. From every angle, every time of day, every season, trying to capture what it means to them. Couples propose here. They lock padlocks to the railings, inscribed with their initials, throwing away the keys. The weight of the locks becomes so great that sections of railing collapse. Love, it turns out, is heavy. The tower lights up every evening, gold lights covering every girder, and on the hour, it sparkles. 20,000 light bulbs flashing for 5 minutes, visible across the city. A celebration every hour.
I have seen 1,000 pictures of the tower, but standing here, seeing it in person, it is different. It is bigger, more delicate, more impossible.
That is what I hear most. It's more impossible in person. Because photographs cannot convey the scale, the mathematics, the fact that this thing should not stand, and yet it does, and has, for 136 years. Let me tell you about the engineering. Because that is what makes the tower remarkable. Not just its height, but how it achieves that height. The tower weighs 10,000 tons. but the pressure it exerts on the ground is less than that of a person sitting in a chair. How? Because the weight is distributed perfectly across 4 massive legs. The wind is the tower's greatest enemy, but Gustave Eiffel designed the tower to be 50% empty space. The wind passes through. It does not push. That is why the tower has never fallen, even in the strongest storms. The tower sways in the wind. Not much, just a few centimeters at the top. But it moves. It is not rigid. It is flexible. That is why it survives. Rigid things break. Flexible things endure.
I did not build the tower to resist the wind. I built it to work with the wind. That is the secret. Nature is not the enemy. Nature is the partner.
The tower also expands and contracts with temperature. In summer, the iron heats up. The tower grows 15 centimeters taller. In winter, it shrinks. It breathes in a way. It is alive. And the paint. Every 7 years, the tower is repainted. 60 tons of paint. 3 different shades. Darker at the bottom, lighter at the top, to make the tower appear uniform against the sky. It takes 15 months, 50 painters, all by hand. This tower requires constant care, constant maintenance. It is not a monument you can build and forget. It is a monument you must tend, like a garden. That is the price of permanence. I return to the artists who protested. The 300 who signed the petition, calling the tower a disgrace. What happened to them? Many of them changed their minds. They saw the tower completed and realized their mistake. The writer Guy de Maupassant, who called the tower monstrous, ate lunch in its restaurant every day. When asked why, he said, "It is the only place in Paris where I do not have to see the tower." But even he, in his way, could not stay away. The tower drew him. It draws everyone. Other critics simply fell silent. The tower became too popular to hate. Parisians who once despised it began to love it. It became theirs, part of their identity, part of their skyline. This is how culture works. What is shocking becomes normal. What is hated becomes loved. Time transforms meaning. The tower that was once too modern became classic. The tower that was temporary became eternal. Gustave Eiffel lived to see this transformation. He saw his tower go from controversial to cherished. He died in 1923, at 91 years old, knowing his tower would outlive him, that it would outlive all of us. Artists cannot stop painting the tower. It has been painted thousands of times. Chagall, Delaunay, Seurat, Picasso, each saw something different. Each found their own meaning. The tower appears in films. An American in Paris, Ratatouille, Midnight in Paris, The Bourne Identity. It is shorthand for Paris itself. You see the tower, you know where you are. It appears in literature, in poetry, in songs. It is referenced, invoked, symbolized. It stands for so many things. Love, romance, France, engineering, progress, modernity, beauty. Each person projects their own meaning onto the tower, and the tower accepts it all. It does not argue. It simply stands, allowing itself to mean whatever people need it to mean. That, another kind of strength. Not physical strength, but symbolic strength. The ability to carry meaning without breaking under its weight. The tower has almost been destroyed several times, not by weather or war, but by decision. In 1909, as I said, it was scheduled for demolition. Radio saved it. In 1944, as the Germans retreated, Hitler ordered Paris destroyed. The Eiffel Tower was to be blown up. The military governor, General von Choltitz, received the order, and he refused. He could not bring himself to destroy Paris. The tower survived. In 1987, a man tried to parachute from the tower and died when his parachute failed to open. In 2002, a man base jumped successfully. The tower has seen daredevils, climbers, stunts of all kinds. Some succeed, some do not. The tower endures attempts to claim it, to conquer it, to own it. But the tower belongs to no one. It belongs to Paris. It belongs to the world. I am one rivet among millions. But I hold together 2 girders. Without me, those girders would separate. Without those girders, the section would weaken. Without that section, the tower would collapse. Every rivet matters. That is the lesson of the tower. You may feel small, you may feel insignificant, but you are part of something larger, and your absence would be noticed. I have held my position for 136 years. I have never loosened, never failed. I will hold this position until the tower falls or until I am replaced. That is my purpose. That is my pride. People visit the tower and see a monument. I see 2.5 million decisions to hold firm. 2.5 million small acts of strength, adding up to something extraordinary. That is how great things are built, not through one grand gesture, but through millions of small commitments. Each rivet, each girder, each calculation, each decision to do the work right.
The tower is not a miracle. It is mathematics. It is effort. It is workers who took pride in their craft. That is all, and that is everything.
The visitor is still standing on the platform. The sun is rising now. Paris is waking. The golden light catches the river, the buildings, the streets spreading in all directions.
I came here thinking it would just be a tourist attraction, a photo opportunity. But it is more than that, is not it?
Yes, it is more. It is a story, a history, a symbol of what is possible when you refuse to give up, when you build something with care and precision and love.
Eiffel must have been a genius.
He was. But more than that, he was stubborn. He believed in his tower when no one else did. He defended it. He found a purpose for it. He made it necessary. That is genius, not just having an idea, but making it real, making it last. The visitor nods, looking out at the city. They take a photo, but I can tell they understand now. The photo will not capture this moment. The feeling of standing 300 meters up, seeing Paris as a whole, feeling connected to history. That is what the tower gives. Perspective. From up here, your problems seem smaller. Your life seems both more significant and less significant at once. You are part of something larger. That is comforting. If you are listening to this, trying to sleep, let me tell you what the tower teaches. First, what is controversial today may be beloved tomorrow. The tower was hated, then it was cherished. Give new things time, let them prove themselves. Second, beauty and function are not opposites. The tower is beautiful because it functions. The curves, the latticework, they exist to shed wind, to distribute weight. Form follows function, and that is beauty. Third, purpose gives longevity. The tower was supposed to last 20 years, but it found purpose, radio, science, tourism, and became permanent. If you want to last, be useful. Fourth, flexibility is strength. The tower sways, it expands and contracts, it is not rigid. That is why it survives. Be willing to move, be willing to change. And fifth, small things matter. I am one rivet, but I matter. You may feel small in this world, but you are part of something, and your presence matters. Every hour at night, the tower sparkles. 20,000 lights flash for 5 minutes. It is a celebration, a reminder that the tower is not just history. It is present. It is alive. People gather on the Trocadero Plaza across the river to watch. They sit on the steps, on the grass. They wait for the hour to turn. And when the sparkling begins, they cheer. They take videos. They hold each other. It is one of the most photographed 5 minutes in the world. Every night, every hour, the same sparkle. But it never gets old, because it is not just lights. It is magic. It is joy. Gustave Eiffel could not have imagined this. In his time, there was no electricity in the tower, no lights, just iron and sky. But he would have loved this. The tower, still surprising people, still bringing joy. That is the tower's gift. It makes people happy, simply by existing, by being beautiful, by being impossible and yet real. The tower faces new challenges now. Climate change, extreme weather, heat that makes the iron expand beyond historical norms, storms that are stronger, more frequent. But the engineers adapt. They monitor the tower constantly. Sensors on every level. They know when the wind is too strong, when the temperature is too high. They close the tower to visitors if necessary. Safety first. The tower also tries to be sustainable. Solar panels on one of the pavilions. Rainwater collection for the bathrooms. LED lights that use less energy. A monument built in 1889, adapting to the 21st century. Because the tower understands, to survive, you must change. You must meet the moment. The tower that refused to fall for 136 years will not fall now, but it will adapt, it will evolve. That is the lesson for all of us. Survival is not about rigidity, it is about adaptation, about honoring the past while embracing the future. Thousands of people have proposed marriage at the tower, some at the base, some on the first level, some at the summit 300 meters up, with Paris spread below. I've watched them, the nervous anticipation, the kneeling, the ring, the tears, the yes, or, occasionally, the no. The tower witnesses it all. Why here? Why does love come to the tower? Perhaps because the tower itself is a love story. Gustave Eiffel loved his wife, Marguerite. She died young before the tower was built. Some say he poured his grief into his work, that the tower is a monument to her in a way, a monument to love and loss. Or perhaps because the tower represents commitment. It was built to last. It has lasted. When you propose at the tower, you invoke that permanence. You say, I want our love to be like this tower, strong, enduring, beautiful. I do not know if marriages proposed at the tower last longer than others, but I hope they do. I hope some of that strength, that permanence, transfers. I hope the tower gives them something to aspire to. I think often about the workers who built the tower. 300 men, riveters, ironworkers, carpenters, engineers, men who worked in all weather, at dizzying heights, to build something they might not fully understand.
I do not know if this tower will stand. I do not know if people will like it, but I know I am doing my job right. I am placing each rivet with care. That's all I can control.
Most of their names are forgotten. There is no plaque listing the 300. Only Gustave Eiffel is remembered, but the tower is their work as much as his. Their hands placed me. Their skill holds the tower together. This is true of all great works. The famous get the credit, the workers do the work. Both are necessary, both should be honored. So when you visit the tower, remember, you are not just seeing Gustave Eiffel's vision. You are seeing 300 men's labor. You are seeing 2.5 million rivets, each placed by hand. You are seeing collective effort, collective pride. From the summit, on a clear day, you can see 80 kilometers in every direction. Versailles to the west, the forests to the south, the suburbs sprawling endlessly. But what people look at most is Paris itself. The way the city radiates from the tower, the way the streets form patterns, spokes of a wheel, branches of a tree, the architecture, the parks, the river. From up here, Paris makes sense. You see why it is called beautiful, why people dream of coming here, why this city has inspired so much art, so much literature, so much love. The tower gives you perspective, literally. You see the world from a new angle, and when you descend, you carry that perspective with you. You see your life differently. Your problems feel smaller, your possibilities feel larger. That is the tower's gift. Not the view itself, but what the view changes in you. Will the tower stand forever? No, nothing does. Iron corrodes, structures weaken. Eventually, even the most carefully maintained monuments fall. But not soon. Not in our lifetimes. The engineers say the tower could last another century or more with proper care. And it will receive that care, because the tower matters, not just to Paris, but to the world. Someday, perhaps, the tower will be replaced, or reinforced beyond recognition, or converted into something else. But the idea of the tower, the symbol, will last. That cannot corrode. Because the tower is no longer just iron and rivets. It is meaning. It is memory. It is the proof that humans can build beautiful, impossible things. That we can create monuments not to war or kings, but to engineering and art and progress. That idea will outlast the tower itself. And in that way, the tower is already eternal. The sun has risen fully now. Paris is awake. The visitor leaves the platform, descending the stairs, rejoining the world below. But they are different now. The tower has changed them, as it changes everyone. If you are listening to this, dear friend, it is time to rest. Close your eyes. Let the story settle. Let the tower stand watch over your dreams. Dream of iron lace against the sky. Dream of rivets holding firm for 136 years. Dream of engineers who dared to build the impossible. Dream of purpose transforming controversy into love. Dream of structures that sway but never fall. Dream of perspectives that change everything. And when you wake, remember, you are like a rivet, small perhaps, but necessary, part of something larger, holding together your piece of the world. Do your work with care, hold firm, endure, and know that your presence matters. Your effort matters. You are part of the great structure of human achievement. The tower teaches us that, not through words but through example, by standing, by enduring, by refusing to fall. And so I rest, 300 meters above Paris, holding my position, holding my girders together, doing the work I was made to do. The wind passes through the tower. The iron expands slightly in the morning sun. The structure sways, just a little. Everything as it should be. I am one of 2.5 million, but I am here. I matter. I hold. That is enough. That is everything. Good night, dear friend. Sleep well. Dream of towers that refuse to fall. Dream of iron that becomes art. Dream of purpose that transforms temporary into eternal. And when you wake, remember, build things that matter. Build things that last. Build with care and precision and love. That is how the impossible becomes real. That is how temporary becomes permanent. That is how iron becomes eternal. The Eiffel Tower taught me that. And now I have taught you. Bonne nuit. Sleep deeply. The tower stands watch, and so do I.